Republican Congressman Mike Turner sits on the House Intelligence Committee, and he is on the Mez set today. He's up on the mezzanine. Great to have you in person today. First of all, let's start with this idea of sources and methods. What are the sources and methods that Democrats are so concerned about being revealed in the process of declassifying these documents?
Well, I don't think they're so worried about sources and methods as they are their ability to conjecture about what's in these documents, or really to talk about these documents without the public being able to actually read them themselves. Now, on sources and methods, there are in some intelligence materials real sources and methods issues that you have to be concerned about. And that goes to whether or not we have either technology or access to a certain venue that gives us information that we would not other have, an individual who's cooperating with the United States who might be giving information, their name we'd want to protect. But in this instance, what we've learned is that the materials that were first used in the FISA application were actually, opposition research materials that were funded by Hillary Clinton's campaign and the Democratic National Committee themselves. There's no sources or methods there that need protected. And text messages, we actually know who they're by in between and how they're done. They're done on their phone. So it's laughable, really, for them to be saying this is an abuse of power. It's within the president's power. And there's going to be a process to review these documents to determine if there's anything inadvertent that would have been disclosed just by their full release.
What is your response to the accusation that this is an abuse of power by the president?
Well, it's laughable, really, because it's not an abuse of power. It's within his power. I mean, that's the power that we've given the president of the United States to determine those items that need to be declassified or not classified.
Are you surprised that it has taken this long for the president to do this? Because he's had the right to do this all along. There have been strong calls for him to do it, to declassify this, so we could see exactly the origins of the Russia investigation.
Absolutely. And I think, on the Republican side, there have been many of us, including myself, who've called for their declassification. I believe the American public need to have the opportunity to read these, rather than sit and hear CNN and MSNBC and even Fox News have people on who claim to have read them and have knowledge of them tell the American people what they say. They need to be able to have them and read them and see that this was an abuse.
To that end, have you had them and read them and seen what this was?
Yes, and I tell you what, anyone who loves the Constitution is going to find this whole process shocking. That here we have a secret court, that documents were used that were funded by a political campaign, opposition research, to get surveillance approval against another political campaign. Now, I've even drafted a bill that would prohibit that and make that illegal, but I think most people would say, yes, that's a violation. That's not what we would expect these courts to do or the Department of Justice to do.
I got to slow you down. You had to draft a bill to keep this from happening, you think? Because you think it'll happen again, and we're still investigating what happened this time. Why are you so concerned? What is going on the Hill that even makes what you're saying possible again, and then furthering out to these agencies?
Well, if people say there's nothing wrong with this, if political funded opposition materials could be used as evidence and sole evidence, I mean, there was no other documents or evidence that were used to prove the veracity of the information that was in those materials that were paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee campaign. If that's possible, and it's okay, then it's okay in any presidential campaign. Donald Trump could do it to his next opponent, and so on down the line, where we then have the politicization of the Intelligence Committee, where politically funded materials would be used for the purposes of surveillance of the opposition campaign, and that's just wrong.
Okay, last quick question for you. Leaks and your committee, just your quick thought on it.
Well, another thing this is going to help is it's going to stop the leaks, because part of the problem with leaks is that if someone reads classified material and comes out and lies to the press about what's in it, they really haven't committed a crime. It's only if you leak the actual classified material. So the public are left with the information that's inaccurate and wrong. And this will give us the opportunity to look at the information itself and actually review it, and the American public can decide.
Congressman Mike Turner from the great state of Ohio. Glad to have you on the Mez set.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you in person.